Hello everyone. So today I will be discussing about transport mechanism. So as we are well aware of the structure of the cell membrane, so we will today discuss about how molecules transport across the cell membrane. So for the physiological activities of the cell, so some molecules, nutrients, gases and other important components, nutrient has to enter the cell. Likewise, the metabolic waste product must move out of the cell, right? So it means that proper functioning of the cell. So different types of transport mechanism occurs at the cellular level. So what are those different type of transport which occurs at the level of cell? One is passive transport. Second, active transport, and vesicular transport. Vesicular transport. So passive transport, active transport and vesicular transport. So today I will be discussing about passive transport. So as the name indicates, passive. Passive over here, it means that it do not involve use of energy. It means no ATP is required. So when we talk about passive transport, no ATP is required, no utilization of ATP is required, and it is a downhill movement. So how does transport of nutrients take place? It takes along the concentration gradient. Okay, it takes along the concentration gradient and it is a downhill movement. So for better understanding of passive transport, so we have divided passive transport into two types. One is simple diffusion. One is simple diffusion. And the other is facilitated diffusion. Facilitated diffusion. Okay. Actually, first passive transport at the level of cell which take place are primarily diffusion and osmosis. Diffusion is again divided into two subtypes, that is simple diffusion and facilitated diffusion. So before entering into simple diffusion and facilitated diffusion, we must actually know what is diffusion. So diffusion here means movement of molecule from higher concentration gradient towards the lower concentration gradient. For example, like in one room we lit some incense stick, or if we spray some perfume in one room, and after few seconds or so we can smell that flavor of that scented stick or perfume spray. So this is one example to understand that what is diffusion. So it is the movement of molecule from area of high concentration gradient towards the area of lower concentration gradient. Okay. Now again, diffusion is again divided into simple diffusion and facilitated diffusion. So in both the conditions, simple diffusion and facilitated diffusion, we do not require ATP. There is no utilization or there is no energy expenditure. Okay. So first we will talk about simple diffusion. So simple diffusion is simple. Simple diffusion is simple. Do not require energy. Do not require ATP. Okay. Now, diffusion of molecule depends upon the charge of the molecule So diffusion depends upon the charge of the molecule, lipid solubility of the molecule, size of the molecule. Okay. So simple diffusion is simple, do not require energy, and it is a passive process. Okay. Now I'll show one diagram for better understanding of simple diffusion. So as we all are aware of the structure of the cell membrane, okay? So this is the lipid bilayer structure. This is the polar head, charged polar head, fatty acid, tail, non-polar. So as we said earlier that simple diffusion is simple. So all lipid soluble substances can easily pass through the cell membrane. So what are those lipid soluble substances? Lipid soluble substances, for example, gases can easily pass through this membrane. Then hormones, steroid hormones can easily pass through the membranes. And what are the examples of steroid hormones? Testosterone, progesterone, vitamin D, and so on. Even the lipid soluble drugs can easily pass through the membrane. Okay. Next. Now we'll talk about facilitated diffusion. Facilitated diffusion. So again, facilitated diffusion is a passive process. No expenditure of ATP and no expenditure of ATP. And the most important thing, in facilitated diffusion, we require carrier proteins. Or channels. Carrier proteins or channels. So this is the basic difference between a simple diffusion and facilitated diffusion. In facilitated diffusion, we need carrier protein or channels. Okay. Now, for better understanding, the most important concept of understanding facilitated diffusion is osmosis. So what is osmosis? Osmosis is movement of water from area of low concentration gradient to the area of higher concentration gradient. For example, glucose. So again I will draw our lipid bilayer having fatty acid, tails, so these are the polar heads chart, and these are the tail part of the phospholipid bilayer. And suppose towards the ECF, glucose concentration is less. And towards the ICF, so what will happen? Glucose concentration is more. Okay. So what will happen? Water will move from lower to higher concentration gradient. So in this way, the movement of water will take place in case of osmosis. Okay. So this was about osmosis. Glucose, in fact, the same concept goes with the movement of sodium also. One more thing, if water move with the help of those channels, so there are channels for movement of water. So the movement of water takes place with the help of channels which are known as aquaporins. So these are protein channels. So aquaporins are protein channels. These are the protein channels which help in the movement of water. Okay. Now we'll talk about other types of channels or carrier proteins which are helpful in facilitated diffusion. So for that, one we have, the most important one which we will discuss are the leaky channels. Leaky channels, voltage gated channels, then we will talk about ligand gated channels, and then we'll talk about carrier mediated proteins. Then we'll talk about carrier mediated proteins. So first we'll talk about leaky channels. So what are leaky channels? So leaky channels we especially see in our neurons. We also see the leaky channels, sodium leaky channels in SA node, which are responsible for generation of pacemaker potential, potassium channels in neurons. So what happens is, so again, this is our lipid bilayer structure. So here are the leaky channels for potassium. So what happens? So for maintenance of normal RMP, for maintenance of normal functioning of neurons, as we all know that the resting membrane potential or the action potential of the neurons has to be maintained for proper functioning of the neurons, so that sensation can be sensation can be easily travel to the central nervous system. So these channels are leaky channels. Okay. So which will help in the movement of potassium ions. So the next channel which we will talk is the voltage gated sodium channels. Voltage gated sodium channels. So these voltage gated sodium channels are located towards the ECF because sodium ions are more towards the ECF. So they are gated type, like gate-like. They have an extension like gate-like. So what happens is sodium is more towards the ECF. Sodium ions are more. So with the onset of action potential. So with the onset of action potential, what happens? So there will be movement of ions. For proper functioning of the muscle tissues, for muscle tissues, what will happen? So this sodium, with the onset of action potential, the sodium ions will move inside. So this gate will, initially this gate will be closed. With the onset of action potential, when the stimulus will reach the threshold potential, the sodium channels will open. So initially they are closed. So with the onset of action potential, these sodium ions, this gate will will start moving inside the cell for proper functioning of the cell. Similarly, potassium channels. So potassium channels are located towards the inside of the cell. So potassium channels are located inside, means towards the ICF. Towards the ICF and the diagram. So there are also gated channels. So for maintenance of for restoration of, for maintenance of action potential, for proper functioning of the cell and for proper propagation of potential, these channels will operate depending upon the concentration gradient and depending upon the potential. So these potassium channels are located towards the inside. So when this gate open, potassium ions will leave from inside of the cell towards the outside. So this was about leaky channels and gated sodium and potassium channels. Now we'll talk about ligand gated. Now we'll talk about ligand gated channels. So ligand gated channel means here ligand means chemical. So this channel will function after the opening, after binding. So some specific neurotransmitter or some specific chemical, when it binds to this channel will operate. Okay. So for example, so this is again our lipid bilayer structure. Lipid bilayer structure. And suppose here is our ligand gated channel. Okay. So for example, here I talked about acetylcholine. Acetylcholine neurotransmitter. What happens when it comes, this channel get active when this acetylcholine will bind to the receptor. When it binds to this channel. Okay. So when this acetylcholine will bind, so again this cell gets sensitized. So this cell becomes active. And with the binding of acetylcholine, there will be activity or muscle contraction. So in muscle contraction, what happens is neurotransmitter, this acetylcholine, will release from the vesicles by the process of exocytosis from the nerve terminal. From this nerve terminal, this acetylcholine are present in small vesicles. So what happens? This acetylcholine will release and it will come to the postsynaptic membrane, or it will come to the binding area. So when it comes, acetylcholine will bind to these channels, which are ligand gated channels. And once this acetylcholine channel will bind, so there are further chemical process, physiological process will take place, which will help in the contraction of the muscle. Next, we will talk about carrier mediated protein. Carrier mediated protein. Carrier mediated protein transport. again this is our lipid bilayer structure. Lipid bilayer structure. So carrier mediated transport, the most important example is our GLUT transport. Our GLUT transport. So this type of transport is present throughout our body. It is present in the, especially in the adipose tissue, and it is actually what happens. Suppose when our body needs glucose, so the hormone which is responsible for the regulation of glucose is our insulin. So whenever the cell needs insulin or glucose, now what this insulin is going to do? This insulin will increase the expression of this GLUT transporter at the level of the cell membrane. So this transporter, the expression of the transporter, this GLUT transporter will increase, and what will happen? Easily glucose will enter inside the cell. So whenever our body needs insulin, so most of then what will happen? This glucose, with the help of insulin, this glucose will easily enter into our cell. So this was about passive